best.
Isn't that interesting? So they're thinking of taking down the statue of Churchill, Winston Churchill, because he didn't have very good views when it comes to races. He was a racist, but he did a lot of other good things. But should we take down his whole statue just because of that? Martin Luther King, who was a great man, who defended the blacks, and he spoke out on behalf of the innocent, the victims. What about him? Should we be taking down, or will we in the future take down his statue because he was eating animals? He was paying for their rape, their suffering, their torture, and their murder.
The biggest takeaway is that the future is in our hands.
That's right. So are you talking about how we should stop eating meat, dairy, and eggs? Since this has a giant eco-footprint? It's like the elephant in the room. Are you talking about that?
It's up to us what the future will look like.
Yes. Are you vegan?
Now, the window of time we have to make that decision is closing fast. Overall, we still are able to avoid the very worst if we act now.
Who's going to act now? You? I don't hear you talking about veganism at all. I've never heard you talking about veganism every time I hear you.
And that is a message to energize us and to give us hope.
Okay.
We don't need hope. We don't need fairy tales. We need action. Everybody can do something. When you're in the store, veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds in your shopping cart. Because peace, world peace, and ending climate change, peace and all of that begins on your plate. So open up your heart and fucking do something.
Let's talk about white veganism in relation to the livelihood of Indigenous peoples. If you haven't run into this person's account yet, consider yourself lucky because they are blatantly racist. White veganism is rooted in superiority and purity. It prioritizes animal welfare over the welfare of Indigenous peoples and people that produce food. Foods once produced moderately are now being mass-produced and sent to areas where they are not naturally grown. Settler colonialism and colonizers' corporate capitalism is a precursor to unethical food consumption. And Indigenous people consume no more than what the land can offer, in terms of animals and plants. This is a way of life that has been occurring for thousands of years. To murder people, steal land, and occupy it with colonizers while also imposing colonial laws that prevent Indigenous livelihood is a form of colonization and racism. Your veganism is performative if you don't care about the welfare of non-whites around the world the same amount that you care about the welfare of animals. This is part 2 of white veganism and why it's so hurtful to Indigenous peoples. In this part, I want to bring up income inequality. It is $70 to buy a veggie plate in northern Canada. That's $53 US. The average income for an Inuk is $25,000 a year, while for non-Inuk it is $33,000 a year. And in case you didn't study basic geography, you can't grow food in the Arctic Circle. To shame Indigenous peoples for the culture that we've been living for thousands of years sustainably, without offering proper form of income to live a vegan lifestyle, just shows how much of your veganism is performative. Indigenous consume animals ethically and sustainably. Every single part of a killed animal is used. You should be ashamed that you're teaching anti-Indigenous sentiment to 1.3 million followers and more, while also being unwilling to learn from actual natives.
Time? Don't eat dead animals! Eat delicious pineapples!
Okay, so this video is being stitched and duetted by a lot of non-vegans. The beauty filter's a lot right now, I'm sorry. But I wanted to come on and be a vegan, stitching and duetting this video, letting you know my perspective. This is not real veganism. Dole, for those of you who don't know, is a company that is exploitative, unsustainable, unethical, and veganism is about choosing the most ethical choice at all times. So anyone who is practicing veganism that doesn't care about human exploitation isn't a real vegan. And we need to stop platforming people who think otherwise.